Hello.
So I'm just going to ask a few questions to start, and then we can open it up to the audience. So Louis, it's your first feature film that you directed, but you directed a few shorts before, including one called La Règle de Trois. I'm not sure if there's an English title. And that's...
Rule of the Three.
Yeah, your English is amazing. And it's partly based on this. You use the same actor, including yourself. So can you talk a little bit about the inspiration from going from a short to a feature as a starting point?
No, hello everybody. Thank you to stay to listen like a strange French, because that's what I am. But no, before this long movie, I directed like a short film called Rule of the Three, La Règle de Trois in French, because this is a mathematic problem called La Règle de Trois. Me, I was very bad in mathematics, so don't ask me what it is La Règle de Trois, but it's a mathematic thing. So I directed like a short film, like in 3 days, and then a producer called Dominique Toussaint told me, okay, I want to produce like a long movie of you, but with the same actors. So I decided to try to imaginate a story with two guys and a girl, which is a classic system in many movies. And then I talked to a friend of mine, and she told me that I remember the play of Alfred de Musset, which is a French dramaturge, on pourrait dire, ou écrivain, playwright. Thank you very much, Nicolas. And then he's a French playwright, and he wrote a play called Les Caprices de Marianne. And in the Caprices de Marianne, it's like two guys in love with the same woman. So I took just the argument, and then I developed in my own story. And then after, when I was writing the script, I realized that there is a fantastic French movie by Jean Renoir called La Règle du Jeu, not La Règle de Trois, mais La Règle du Jeu,
Rules
which is
of the game.
which is a masterpiece. I'm not comparing my movie to La Règle du Jeu, but La Règle du Jeu is based also on the same play, Les Caprices de Marianne. If people here know the film, you are lucky to know it, and if you don't know it, you are lucky because you didn't know it yet. So you have to watch La Règle du Jeu, and then there is the same beginning in the movie. So, and then I wrote the script, and I liked the idea of taking a situation very well known in the cinema and in your cinema, the American cinema, because I realized also that there is a movie of Raoul Walsh called in French is the Manpower, but I think it's in okay no, because in French it's not Manpower. In French it's okay. So there is Manpower. It's like two guys, George Raft and Edward J. Robinson, in love with Marlene Dietrich. So there is so many movies around the world about like two men in love with the same woman. Of course, there is Jules et Jim. There is Y tu mamá también, de Alfonso Cuarón, who did Gravity and so many movies. So this classic situation of this triangle amoureux, as we say in French, and as you say also in America, because you love this French sentence, triangle amoureux and ménage à trois. I like the idea of trying to make my own development around this situation. Sorry for my English. Stéréotypical. C'est ça? Ouais. Thank you.
I'm very impressed by your research on all the movies with ménage à trois.
No, because most of the time people say, les Français, French, they love ménage à trois, and it's true that it's all around the world that people love the ménage à trois, because things that we can't do at home, we love to do it on movies, So, and it's true that as an actor, I played, my second film was The Dreamers of Bertolucci, and in The Dreamers it's a ménage à trois also, in an apartment. It's I don't know, it's a dreaming situation, like a dreaming situation, and also a source of conflict, and to do a play, to do a film, this is what we're looking for. It's conflict, and when you work on just feelings and sentimental relation, and the ménage à trois it's a gold mine. Voilà.
Well, in this film, I believe you quite close with Vincent Macaigne in real life, and
Yes.
the subtext also is your relationship and your friendship with both of you in the film and maybe in life. So it's much stronger than just the girl and the two guys. So can you talk about aspect that you develop more in this film, which the friendship is very strong?
No, with Christophe Honoré, who is a French director, he was interested when I talked to him about the project. He said, okay, let's do like a split between two guys. Like the main situation that we can see, for example, I'm not comparing the film of Bergman to my movies, but in the Bergman movies, you see in Scène de la vie conjugale,
scenes from a marriage.
Okay, you have like how people are separate themselves, but most of the time it's a man and it's a woman. And then Christophe told me, let's see how two friends of 30 years old who act like teenagers, because they are like teenagers, and then they split together. It's like a situation that on n'est pas habitué à voir.
It's a situation we're not used to seeing.
It's like a separation, so for example, the last scene in the hotel room when they said, I don't love you before I was in love with you. It's like in the Bergman movie, maybe more B-movie, but it's a Bergman, inspired about the B-movie Bergman, but with two men who are not homosexual at all, but who say, we see a man telling to another man, I used to love you, I used to smile when he was entering in the room, and now it's finished. I mean, I not love you anymore. So we are very interested about doing this. Like une rupture amicale. In French, we can say
a breakup between friends.
Voilà.
It's actually very touching, and it's also quite rare, but I find it very moving. So break up with friends, which is very difficult in real life. It's much easier to break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yes, but it's also because the two characters, they are made as two clowns. There is the big guy. I play the big guy a little bit, not pince sans rire, and
deadpan.
And then the other one with a big face, round face, and then the one tall, and then as we split, it's like if Laurel I was thinking when I was making the movie, okay, if it's like Laurel and Hardy are splitting, but for real. But Laurel and Hardy, they try to split all the time, but they don't, they don't do it. But even in the movie, they don't split because at the end they are together on the street. But okay, it was to take the situation of the couple of the clowns who try to split. Minutes after minutes, my English is going to be bad and bad and bad because I can concentrate myself a little bit, but I can see.
No, I think by midnight it's going to be perfect. Were you interested at all in writing the movie, in maybe switching the roles, or were you just writing specifically with you for that and Vincent for the other role? Did you ever think like you could switch?
No, people sometimes said, okay, why don't you play the other one? So I tried it, but it didn't work because Vincent Macaigne, the actor, is an actor, he's a director for stage. One of the most talented guy who is director for stage. He's also a very, very good actor. But when I did the short movie with him, he was not so well known in France as an actor, not as a director. But then after my short movie, I'm very pretentious, I think this. After my short movie, lots of directors, took him in the movie. So when I came with my long feature, people say, oh, Vincent Macaigne again. In the same role, because he used to say, to play this kind of strange guy, very charming, but a little bit crazy, and, beautiful and not so beautiful. It's many things in the same time. And then I wrote the character for him as a tailor, did something, comment on dit, sur mesure?
Custom made.
Custom made. So I tried to exchange, to make doing something more special, but it didn't work at all. And I know also Vincent in the movie, the guy in the movie, I know him since a very long time, so I know exactly what he's capable of putting of his real life in the character, so I was very interested about asking him to put his sensuality, his craziness, his tenderness, his stupidity and everything. I was very interested about that. Because it's a story of like two guys not comment on dit, je vais redire, misfits. C'est-à-dire they are all of the three, misfits. They are nothing. There is a guy nothing for society. But they can't grab They just can grab, feelings to and emotion one to. Ok, ils peuvent juste s'accrocher les uns aux autres.
They can only grab onto each other.
Okay. Leur seule promotion, c'est d'être aimé.
Their only way to move up is to be loved.
Voilà.
There.
It's true. I discovered Vincent Macaigne with your short films.
Tu vois?
So, yeah.
Yes.
Like everyone else.
Like everyone else.
So congratulations.
Thank you. No, there is two actors in the French cinema, very good. One is Jean-Pierre Léaud. I'm sure that you know Jean-Pierre Léaud. And there is another one called. He's good, and I forgot his name, but it's terrible. His name is Patrick Devers. And Patrick Devers, he used to play a lot with Gérard Depardieu in the Bertrand Blier's movies. And it's a very particular actor because Patrick Devers, he used to be he killed himself, so now he's dead. But he used to. It's not very, but it's like this. It's not me. I mean, he used to play very violently on movies, and he used to. Even me, I can see that he's a fantastic actor, but sometimes I feel hurt for him, And Vincent Macaigne, to me, is a mix between Jean-Pierre Léaud, who's completely Jean-Pierre Léaud when he plays. He's never where we're waiting. Il est jamais là où on l'attend.
He's never where we expect him to be.
And il a aussi la violence de Patrick Devers.
And Macaigne also has the violence of Patrick Devers.
Mais avec la distance que moi j'aime, c'est-à-dire j'ai jamais l'impression qu'il se fait mal quand il joue. Voilà.
But with the distance that I like, which is to say that I never have the impression that he's hurting himself when he acts.
But I give you French references, it's very boring for you, so it's Jean-Pierre Léaud et Patrick Devers. No, this kind of references worked in the south of France when I was presenting the movie, but here I think nobody understands. Okay, Jean-Pierre Léaud and Patrick Devers.
No, I think people are aware of Jean-Pierre Léaud and probably Patrick Devers also.
Now, if you don't know Jean-Pierre Léaud, you can watch him also in movies of Jean-Luc Godard, masculin, féminin, ou dans Weekend, il a une petite scène, ou dans les... Ah si, The 400 Blows. Yeah. Okay, this is Jean-Pierre Léaud, but he was very young. And after all the Truffauts most of the Truffauts are with Jean-Pierre Léaud. He's one of the most of the brilliant actor because he doesn't have a father in history of cinema, and he doesn't have a son in history of cinema. It's like unique as like Michel Simon. Michel Simon. There is sometimes and Vincent Macaigne is a little bit like this because I'm a, comment tu m'as dit tout à l'heure, jeune premier, c'est quoi?
I'm a young leading man, a romantic lead.
Like in the cinema, I'm a young leading man, so I have so many actors are like me. It's, because I'm like in the tradition of a young leading man. But Vincent Macaigne, I think he appears like something strange, and you can't relate him to no one, and he's not gonna have son, son of cinema. I mean, if I can be understood by you. But and it's very interesting when an actor appears like this and you don't know exactly where he comes from and where he goes. And Jean-Pierre Léaud is a bit like this also, because they play all the time in a way that you never expect. Even when you okay.
So first, you are a great agent for Vincent Macaigne.
No,
and second, you should come back and curate a series of films of French actors that you want to present for people. I'm going to ask one last question, and then we can open it up to the audience. I love the cinematography in the film, and you worked with Claire Maton, which I believe shot Stranger by the Lake, among other things, and she worked with Catherine Corsini. So, were good? Can you talk about working with her at all?
No, Claire Maton, the director of photography, I met her because she's young, she's 40 years old, something like this.
Very young.
Very young. And then she was the DOP of the My Wen's movie I was in, called Mon Roi, it's going to be projected tomorrow. But then she was doing like in a digital camera because My Wen, she's shooting with improvisations, and I don't know if you know My Wen's movie. Well, she's not rehearsing. She doesn't rehearse, and she takes the improvisation of actors. And then I could feel on the set that she was very when she had the camera on her shoulder, she was very following the actors, and that because I knew that I had to direct the movie and to play in the movie, I needed somebody who was very concentrated. So I asked her to make the movie, and I said, okay, we're going to work on 35 millimeters, which is in USA, most of your directors, they work in 35 millimeters for Star Wars, for example, I know, but in France, it's not fashion at all to work in 35 millimeters. When you say, I want to shoot in movies, they said, oh, don't be so fetishist. But it gives something also, not only like aesthetically, but it gives like a concentration for everyone, because it costs much more money when it rolls, when you heard like the bills, like $1, $2, and then everyone is concentrated on the set. And because I needed like a team very concentrated, I asked to shoot in 35 millimeters. But it was funny because I did some test, and I had like five cameras, like 4 digitals and 1 35 millimeters. And when we were shooting, just for test, we were shooting like this in a room. When we were shooting in digital, most of the time people were watching the iPhone and everything. And when we were shooting in 35, they were all like this because, bills. And people are excited by it, the money that we are spending. Because like every day we're spending so much money. So, everybody's... So it's not because of that the whole team helped me. But one of the reasons was the 35 millimeters. So thank you, Kodak. And it's a pity that Kodak, the last Kodak industry was in USA, and it just closed right now. So to develop movies in 35 millimeters in France right now, you have so. But I know Tarantino and even I don't know if you saw The Son of Saul. It's a I don't know. It's a fantastic movie or not a fantastic movie. I don't know what to say about the movie. No, it's a beautiful movie. A beautiful movie? No, I don't know. It's an important movie. Not good, not bad, but it's an important movie. And then the guy, when he won the grand prize, he said, please, let's make movie in 35 millimeters. But I think also because it's related to his subject, who is like to create a memory, and we know that on the 35 millimeters there is something print. At the opposite, on the digital, it's something in the memory, but it's a plastic memory which can be erased in 2 seconds,
Does your film exist in 35 or not?
No.
Okay.
But it exists, of course, it exists it exists because the negative exists, but not the positive. But we have the negative.
So you should come and work in the US and shot in 35 and develop in 35.
I would love to. But Gigi Abrams, the guy who owned the industry of cinema, he wants to shoot in 35, and it's good. I mean, it's good for us. Because our industry, our French industry, is completely linked to the American industry. The whole French industry of cinema is completely, even in the conscience, even economically, we are like the small fish on the big shark, like this. So we follow what you do. So please don't abandon the 35 millimeter.
Any of you. We can take question from the audience. It's a scene where they shoot in the May 68 scene. Is that an homage to your father's work?
No, because I play in 2 movies who have subjects about May 68. In the Bertolucci's movie called The Dreamers, who was the situation on the 68, and then a movie of my father called Regular Lovers, who was in 68. And me, as a young student, when I was 15 years old, and when we had demonstration, because there was we were in the street, we were all the time thinking about May 68 as the reference, the big reference, as the big victory of our fathers, And then when I shot the movie, when I shot the 2 movies when I was 19 and 20 years old, it was like if I accomplished a dream, a strange dream, like to do a recreation of May 68, but a fake recreation. So I was happy, but for things strange. C'est-à-dire,
Which is to say,
j'avais un espèce d'enthousiasme à jouer dans des films sur 68, comme si on avait réussi d'une certaine manière, nous aussi, à prendre le pouvoir comme jeunesse. Mais c'était pas vrai parce que c'était des films de nos pères qui avaient fait ça.
I had a kind of enthusiasm to act in movies about May 68 as if we as young people had succeeded in taking power, but in fact it wasn't true because these were films of our fathers.
Et donc, quand j'ai fait le film, je voulais raconter l'histoire de cette espèce cette expérience intime que j'ai eue avec une expérience d'une révolution factice. Et donc, ça faisait rigolo.
So when I made the film, I wanted to tell this personal experience I had of a fake revolution.
Et aussi, ça me faisait très rigoler de voir un type qui, dans une manif... Enfin, ça m'a raconté un truc de ma génération, qui, dans un grand mouvement collectif, faisait la chose la plus individualiste qui est de tenter de se suicider. Ça me faisait rigoler juste comme une clownerie, quoi, une bêtise.
And it also really made me laugh, and I found it very indicative of my generation, to see a guy in a huge collective demonstration do the most individualist thing possible, which is to try to commit suicide. That just made me laugh as a piece of clownery.
Yes, I was laughing. When I was thinking to that, I was laughing. I don't know. Like the guy who was cutting himself, when there was a director tried to recreate this collective movement, I don't know, I was in my room and it was funny. So it's again of an homage, but a strange homage. C'est aussi la confession d'un enfant du siècle, je veux dire. Oui. It's also because Musset, the writer that we were talking about, who wrote a play, he wrote a book called La confession d'un enfant du siècle, qui est un peu le... Peut-être tu pourrais mieux le résumer que moi, au fond.
He wrote Confessions of a Child of the Century, which maybe you can summarize better than I could.
Non, sur l'idée qu'il est arrivé trop tard dans l'histoire et qu'il ne peut pas fabriquer une histoire et que sa grande histoire à lui, ça sera une histoire intime.
On the idea that he came too late in history and that his great story will be a personal story, a personal history.
C'est bien résumé, ça va?
Is that a good summary?
Another question, please. Is you in the back?
I think the question is it more directing or more acting that's most important to you? Is that right?
That's that?
C'est jouer ou mettre en scène qui sont plus importants. Lequel est plus important?
You mean when I was doing the movie or in general?
Et quelle est la prochaine étape par rapport à ça?
No, it depends. I don't know what to answer. No, it's important. The both are important. You want to know what's next? I played in a movie as an actor, because it's when you're an actor, you receive a script, and then 2 months, 3 months after you're playing it, and then after 2 weeks it's finished, or 3 weeks it's finished. When you do a movie, like, you have to wait 3 years. Even if my producer, she's in the room, she said, okay, but it's not so many times. It's a long time, 3 years to wait for the money,
But you're going to work here.
But I play in a movie with Marion Cotillard, directed by Nicole Garcia. What's next? It's this, called Le Mal de Pierre. I hope they will say, okay, I mean, the banks, the television, to give me. I hope, but because me, I want, yeah.
Louis is going to be collecting money at the end.
No, no, but I hope, yes. Mm.
But we have time for one last question, so yes.
You mean, yeah. You mean at one moment, like one is leading the situation, and then after it, it's like a
like a switch, transfer of power.
Yes.
For a question.
Yes. No, but obviously the pleasure was to see somebody lose his power. You mean exactly? This is the pleasure that you had, to see me losing my power. Yeah. But for example, as an actor in France, there is a blog, a Tumblr, something on the internet, and everybody was invited to collaborate because I used to not smile on pictures. I used to, and even, I was playing about, like, in depressing movies, I was playing depressing characters, like this, because my face is not smiling. I have a face like this. So by the point in France, there was a blog, like, okay, it was the l'humeur de Louis Garrel. How do you say that?
Louis Garrel's moods.
Okay, Louis Garrel's mood. And then because of every pictures that I have done, for magazines, I used to be like this all the time. So people, they were invited to put like pictures of me and then to put a legend. Comment on dit a legend?
A caption.
A caption. And the caption was more funny, mean, funny, horrible for me, but funny for everyone. But maybe I was funny, but like thousands of, not thousands, but hundreds of pictures of me like this, with my face like this. So I decided, before the dance scene, to say, why do you have this face? Do you think it gives you like a deep thing like this? So I wrote this like just to make a joke to myself. And when we were in Cannes, like 400, persons, when the scene arrived, but everybody laughed so hard, but if it was like somebody, yeah, exactly, yeah, it was horrible. Like I created my own nightmare because I was and everybody was laughing at me. It was terrible, but I was the only responsible. It was me. I mean, it was very funny. It was an exercise of masochism, Terrible.
We will look for it and project it tomorrow before the screening of your film.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.